I think I wiped my nose already.
All right, let's see if Alpha Geek Radio will. So many buttons to press in this show. Hey, Peter, how's your kid?
She's doing really well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's in childcare now, which is full on.
That's great. The young dads. Good stuff.
My kid is at the stage where she randomly bats me about the head. Like, she'll just come up and just, like, she'll be happy, and then she'll just do, like, this, WWE style. She'll just do an open hand slap across the face.
That's awesome.
And I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, that's right. Isn't your youngest daughter isn't
just started graduate school?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Man, I'm feeling old already. Where does the time go?
Fast. That's where it goes.
Yeah, she waved at me for the first time over FaceTime last night, and it was so adorable. It was crazy.
It's great to have someone who's excited when you come home, as opposed to like, it's not like my wife hates me. It's just like, oh, it's you.
Not you again.
It's like, I married you. I know you're coming home.
Most nights, yeah.
Let's see.
Now I'm just. Do we look kind of spooky in this black and void?
You mean the goat? We just have a picture of your goat icon.
Yes.
Oh right. Okay. Cool. So I've just I'm actually just importing some photos so I can edit my story as we record. So just I promise I'll be focused though. Once
good. No worries. I don't even know how you do it. That place must be bananas right now.
It's a little strange.
Yeah. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. All the internet seems good. Like, this is all good.
Don't jinx it. It could be Apple is purposely paying everyone off to make sure everything runs so they get all the press.
Could be.
Well, it was
Johnny
terrible.
Ives move.
It was actually terrible during the event. I don't know how they continue to mess that up. But, yeah, now that everyone's actually left, it's not too bad. Cool.
I don't even know what EGR stands for anymore. Stands for. So, Loyd, let me give you a quick rundown how it goes. So basically, we're going to do the top stories, or the trending stories, including the Apple story, but we're not going to sit too long on the Apple.
Okay.
In the beginning, because that's our discussion topic. So we're going to try to get through these in about 10 minutes.
All right.
The other story is about the Sony unveiling of the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 4 Slim. AT&T is exempted DirecTV app from their data cap. Surprise, surprise. The Nashville Metro Council has basically voted for the One Touch Make Ready, giving Google Fiber faster access to the utility poles. Now, this is the thing I didn't realize, was that the Nashville Electric Service, which I guess is the local utility, owns a majority of the poles, but AT&T owns a handful, and they were trying to block that movement.
They've been doing that around here, too, in the Bay Area. AT&T has been trying to block Google Fiber.
Such jerks, especially since they charge you so much for everything else.
Yeah.
Why? And then there's the story about basically you can now use Chase Visa and the UK Santander and TSB cards with Android Pay. And then Android Pay is going to debut on the web or mobile web via Chrome with Groupon, 1-800-Flowers, and a select group of sites.
And we'll go relatively quickly through these so that we give nice media attention to what's happening with Apple and Sony today in our story. So basically, I'll read these, and if anyone's got anything, pipe up, or if I call on you or whatever, but don't worry, don't feel like you have to fill a bunch of time or anything. There's no pressure on that.
Time will be filled on the Apple story so much.
Cool.
Like the Super Mario one was crazy.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Like that's the only one that really like what?
I knew the games were coming, and I thought even there might be talk of it here, but I had no idea they'd fly Miyamoto out here and have him do it. That's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about how. Well, we don't have to talk about it, but at some point, maybe I'll just mention it now. It was just funny to see him sitting on the front row after his presentation, just looking up on the stage and trying to figure out what was going on up there. Very odd camera shot of Miyamoto out in the crowd.
It's weird how his appearance really hasn't changed with time. He has that same hair, that same kind of...
He doesn't age, man. He's some kind of weird, freaky science experiment gone right.
It's a lot of fish. High fish rice diet.
Yep, that'll do it.
He actually eats fish rice cakes now. That'd be good. Let's see, what else? So, I think we're all good. If you want, Scott, we can start right now since the cast is live. I will hide myself.
Is today the 7th?
Yes, the September 7th. Is it written wrong incorrectly?
No. I'm just making sure I have the date right on the file, so when I send it to you, it's all... Okay, I'm starting audio here. We're good on this end. Everybody all comfy and ready? We're all set. I'm going to play a little intro, do introductions, and off we go. Peter, I'll bring you in first, then Loyd will bring you in.
Okay.
Cool.
And off we go. Yeah.
Let me just know quickly if you can see my video now if I jump in this way.
All I see is a goat. Oh, now I see you.
Now we see you.
Excellent. Cool.
You do not look like a goat. Your icon before was a goat, but now you're not a goat. Now you are a fully formed man. All right. Here goes. Let's start this thing. It all begins. Am I rolling over there? I am. Okay. It begins in 3, 2, 1. This is the Daily Tech News Show. Whoops. Sorry. Forgot about the read. Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience, not outside organizations. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News Show for Wednesday, September 7th, 2016. I'm Scott Johnson, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. I am very happy to be here, subbing in for Tom once again until he gets home from Asia this weekend. Smelling of fish and healthiness, I suppose. That's a pre-show reference no one will understand. Helping me in welcoming my guests today, we have someone on the ground watching or has just witnessed the Apple panel and is getting ready for a bunch of hands-on and other reporting. It is a regular contributor to the show, and from the Sydney Morning Herald, it is Peter Wells. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Scott. And can I just say you've been doing a bang-up job replacing Tom. It's a very hard gig, and you've been doing it so well.
Well, thank you. If he ever decides to just go to the North Pole and live on his own, like he dreams of doing one day, maybe he'll easily just slip into his shoes and everything will be fine. Very excited to talk about you and what you've seen, both in the conference and outside of it. We'll get to that in a minute. Also joining us, someone who I listened to when he would make guest appearances on the Tested Show. Always was fascinated by what he had to say. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Loyd Case, Senior Analyst at Microprocessor Report.
Howdy.
Come on, Loyd. Nice to have you.
Howdy. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing great. Big goings on today, gentlemen. Lots happening, and there's plenty to talk about in the top stories. So I think we'll just get right to them. Let's go. Whoop, wrong one. How about this one? Hey, I made my first goof, Roger. Here you go. So, Apple unveiled the iPhone 7. We're going to talk about this and all the Apple announcements in depth shortly, but here's a quick rundown. Apple Watch 2 was released, or they showed it anyway. They're getting ready to release it. Also, updates to Apple Pay and Mario coming to the App Store and coming there first. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, we got a new A10 Fusion 64-bit processor, no headphone jack, now uses a Lightning connector, so everyone's rumors/fears were true. W1 processor is working with the wireless earpods, they're calling them. I think they should have called them earbuds. And then, no, they're not earpods, they're called AirPods, these wireless ones. They should have called them AirBuds because I like that movie with the dog in it. Anyway, new camera sensor, optical image stabilization on both 7 and 7 Plus models, shipping in September 16th, starting at $649. By the way, that 7 Plus has 2 cameras. We'll get into that more a little bit later. The Series 2 watch, 40% faster chip. You've got a GPU that's built in, 50 meters of water resistance and dust resistance, they say. I don't know when you're ever going to be in 50 meters of dust, but kind of cracked me up. That's available on the 13th of this month, $369 for the Apple Watch Series 2. And we'll talk more about this Mario thing and all this other stuff coming right up. But before all of that, let's talk about what happened at Sony just barely. We just ended this thing like a half an hour ago. Sony unveiled the PlayStation 4 Pro, no longer referred to as the Neo. It is officially the 4 Pro, and PlayStation 4 Slim at the event in New York City today. The Slim will feature the same components as the original PS4 in a thinner, more energy-efficient design, they call it. And it will go on sale in most markets September 15th and retail for $299. That's for the Slim model. The PlayStation Pro is a beefier upgrade to the PlayStation, supports 4K video and HDR, although they did say toward the end of the conference they're going to roll out a firmware upgrade to all PlayStation 4 owners of any type to support HDR output. They did not give a ton of details as to what the heck they mean by that, but time will tell. Our goal is to deliver high-fidelity graphical experiences, says lead architect Mark Cerny. Said this on the stage during the hardware event today. It also got a faster GPU, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and an upgraded GPU. It also plays old PS4 games, of course, like we knew it might. I don't know how I feel about the name Pro. I kind of think it makes a weird demarcation between somebody who maybe just bought a $400 or maybe a little bit less, $349 PlayStation, and now there's something called the Pro on the horizon. I feel like those people might be a little bummed out today. Lloyd, do you think that's a better choice, better than Neo, or
I feel like an amateur.
Yeah. An amateur. You said, yeah, that's right. All these hardcore PlayStation owners just become amateur PlayStation players.
Right.
What about casual?
That's
Wouldn't that be perfect?
PlayStation Cash needs to come out. But we don't know a whole lot about the bump other than they say things like 50% faster, 50% better in terms of frame rates, or 50% better textures. And a lot of 50% is being thrown around, but nobody's really said on stage or since, and I'm sure we'll get some of this out throughout the day, but nobody's really gotten down to the nitty-gritty. What is that GPU? How does it compare to desktop equivalents today? Is it even in the neighborhood of a 1080 from NVIDIA, or is it something close to that? We don't know, but we do have a better idea of how they're going to kind of gate the games. We know that certain games that already exist on the platform will receive patches that will give them quality updates in terms of textures and draw distances and other things, frame rates to existing games, as well as new games coming out that will have the same installation disk for either platform, and one will just look a little better and the other one won't so much. I'm real curious about what you guys think about this thing. So, Peter, what are your thoughts?
I mean, from what you've described, so can I just be clear, because obviously I've just spent the whole time in an Apple bubble. It was there 4K at all? Is it going to be a PlayStation 4K? Okay, so that makes sense.
HDR as well.
HDR, all right. Because I mean, I do think HDR is actually more impressive a feature than 4K, to be honest. And at least when I've seen both kind of specs up against each other, HDR does look a little bit nicer, but. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got a PlayStation 4 at the moment. I don't feel the need to upgrade anytime soon, but that's more because I have a 2 or 3 year old TV. I think it's about 2 years old, but nowhere near old enough for me to even consider upgrading that, or being able to convince my wife that that's something we need to do anytime soon. Right. So, yeah, I think for me it's just, I mean, it's great. If I didn't have a TV, I might be interested, but right now I'm quite happy with what I have.
Yeah, from what I've been able to tell, the PS4 Pro, basically they upped the clock speed of the CPU. The CPU specs are otherwise about the same, but they've doubled the number of compute units on the graphics core. So that's where a lot of the performance increase comes from. Better clocks and more GPU cores.
So that makes sense in terms of you know, we're not talking about vastly different gaming experiences. We're talking about slight performance tweaks and visual tweaks. And that's probably good. It's an upgrade for those who have been on the fence or who maybe want to get the latest and greatest all the time. But at the same time, they're not completely shafting their existing player base by saying, look, the thing you've got is old and busted. You should have a new thing. Right. It feels like that was a big fear for a lot of people, and maybe some people are still seeing it that way. But if you're telling me that these games that I want to play real bad in the holidays are going to be on both machines, then we're probably going to be okay. And the other thing that happened is there wasn't a lot of talk about the VR headset at all, really.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I expected more of that. I don't know why I expected that. I just thought, well, a performance increase must impact what their plans are with VR.
I'm sure it will.
They really didn't say.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And And I've got to say, the last thing I played on my PlayStation 4 was Uncharted 4, and that didn't look old and busted to me. That looks still pretty impressive. Yeah. As a guy who grew up on an Atari 2600.
What it means for developers going forward, though, is they're going to have different graphic settings. In the old days, you targeted one console, and that's pretty much what you did. But now they have two architecturally similar consoles, and they'll have to target just different graphics capabilities for them. It's like PC settings all over again.
Yeah. In a way, they're doing just that. They're adopting a model that is a lot more like PCs and in some ways like the mobile market. And they're saying, well, look, if there's a more incremental upgrade over a couple of years' time, instead of waiting 10 years for a complete revamp, maybe we can retain more customers. We can get new customers onboarded at that point. I think the hard part is just convincing the world that the old model doesn't exist anymore or isn't as lucrative as this one. And doing that is a little tricky, even though the cost of this thing is $399. Really not too bad. It's a good price for the Pro. I expected it to be higher, so the fact that it's a little lower than I thought is good. And it's about the price you would pay for an okay video card for your PC.
Right.
So if you can show people that this kind of performance increase is a good one for them and worth $400, then you can maybe get them on this like treadmill that PC people are totally used to and don't bother them at all. Right now, it really bothers console fans to think that they have to adhere to this new business model. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it's received. The sales numbers this fall will be telling, and it will also probably inform a lot of what will happen with Microsoft's Xbox plans with the S and with, what's their other one called? Their other new one? Brain just went blank. The
Scorpio.
There you go. Well done.
There we go.
I think it was one of those signs. Anyway, let's move on to some other news. Lot of stuff, a lot of minutiae and details about what's going on at Sony. People can check out more of that online, of course, and we'll report it more here on the show as we get to it. AT&T has now exempted DirecTV's app, streaming video, and Uverse app from AT&T's mobile data caps. That's interesting. When the FCC approved AT&T's merger with DirecTV, it prohibited AT&T from putting home internet data caps to any of its own content. AT&T argues, or argued at the time and still does, I suppose, that the clause does not apply to mobile data. This is what they say. Ars Technica questioned AT&T about it, and they replied with this. We are not treating ourselves differently from any other data. Other content providers can do the same thing through our sponsored data program. Ars Technica notes that that apparently DirecTV is paying AT&T to participate in the sponsored data program. Loyd, another stitch in the weird tapestry of AT&T and data caps.
Pay us a cut and we'll treat you equally.
Yeah, that seems like a real deal, doesn't it? We'll treat you the same if we don't treat you the same up front so that you'll pay us more, but then we'll treat you the same. It feels like a little bit of digital blackmail, Peter.
It does. I don't feel, I don't know, I'm not anywhere near as precious about these kind of things, I guess. Just because our internet speeds are so terrible in Australia, and like any kind of free data we can get, I'll kind of jump on. Does that make me a bad person, Scott?
No. In fact, here's what makes you a great person. You flew 18 hours to cover a hour-and-a-half Apple event, and you just have to turn right back and go home. So whatever you think is fine, because I'm already impressed with your fortitude, man. Well done.
Thank you.
The Nashville Metro Council voted 32-7 for, quote, one-touch make-ready, unquote, policy giving Google Fiber faster access to utility poles. I wish they would do it past 107 South over here because, gosh dang it, they cut me off right before I'm 5 blocks from where they cut us off. I'm so completely annoyed with Google right now. It's not Google's fault. It's the city. But anyway, we'll see how that all gets fixed for me. I got so excited I lost where I was. Oh, yeah. The one-touch rate make-ready ordinance lets single companies like Google Fiber, quote, make all the necessary wireless adjustments itself without having to wait for incumbent providers. That means they don't have to wait for some slow boat, got to send a truck out there and 3 guys and take whatever time they want to get, facilities working so they can use them. Like AT&T, who's been opposed to the measure, to send construction crews. However, the Nashville Electric Service, who owns most of the poles in the area, must still review the applications and inspect the lines before work can begin. So you can't just go in there willy-nilly and take it over. You can't have Loyd Case's special internet provider.com come in and just start yanking wires around.
Hey, my custom cable's up there, man.
I'm sure they'd be amazing. Are you still doing like case mods and stuff? I know you were talking about that a bunch.
No, not much anymore.
Not so much
I mean,
now.
I still build all my own computers, but I don't have time to do all the other stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know why I thought of that, but moving on. Bloomberg reports that Snapchat is killing off daily local stories for cities features. Oh, no. And now that I think about it, I never looked at it once. In its place, Instagram is putting live video of specific events like sporting events and holiday celebrations called the Live Moments. According to people familiar with the matter, 15 curators who worked on a local story in LA and New York will be let go. So that idea went away. No more Snapchat local stuff. Who was watching that, though, and who was that intended for, I wonder? I don't know.
Not me. I'm
me.
far too old for Snapchat. Do you use it, Scott? I know that I know that Tom is Snapchatting his little holiday right now. I can't do it. It just makes me feel so old.
I don't. I don't. Okay, so let me put it this way. I was using Snapchat pretty heavily up until the Johnny-come-latelys of the world, in this case Instagram, decided to implement stories. And I thought, well, wait, I have more followers here. It's more transparent here. The button's right there in the corner. I can do the exact sort of thing and have this other thing just be the normal feed like usual and not try to split myself among, too many bases. So I just did that, and I like it. And they're doing that some too. Tom will put one here or there, but I know he's still heavily using Snapchat, and that may be because, you throw so much into it, you want to stay where your people are. But Snapchat always annoyed me. I think the interface is annoying. I like the ideas behind Snapchat, but swiping what direction to get what thing to work is always a bit of a mystery.
The interface is terrible. It really is absolutely terrible. Like, I understand that, young people can understand it and work it out and memorize it, but I have a job. I have a couple of jobs and a kid. Like, I don't have time to work all that out.
Yeah, it's too many swipes.
Anyway,
that's
my old man rant.
Well, part of it, look, I know part of it is we've talked about on the show before, Tom, or I have, about the idea that part of the reason that Snapchat appeals to a certain demographic is because it is a little bit obscure. It is kind of a thing you need to be in the know to use to its fullest extent. And I think that's a company constantly struggling to figure out outroads from that without losing that. So they want to be a broader thing, but not lose that kind of weird, quirky atmosphere.
How exclusive are you when you have millions and millions of users?
Yeah, it's a really good point. But it's a very exclusive couple million people or whatever it is. But that's you make a very good point. And so I don't know what their ultimate goals are. I just know that Instagram's like really intuitive, and I already have it, and I got more followers there anyway, so I just use that now, and it's fine. And I know they ripped it off. They even came out and said they did. They said, look, we owe most of our inspiration to Snapchat. Thanks, Snapchat. And so they're just bold-facing stealing it in a lot of ways, and it's fine. Does what I need it to do. So that's me. TechCrunch, finally, in this our main stories here. TechCrunch reports that the U.S. Chase Visa and UK Santander and TSB cardholders, that's apparently a thing in the UK. I've never heard of it, can use their accounts with Android Pay. Google also said Android Pay on the mobile web will debut soon on Chrome with Groupon, 1-800-Flowers.com, and a select group of their sites. So looking forward, I guess, to that expansion of Google Pay. If you guys want to submit stories to the show, it's really easy to do that. Just submit them and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Big thanks to everybody who submitted those, like Flying Spatula, Ned Jeffrey, and others. You guys are great. That's dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And we'd love to hear more of you and your stories. All right, let's get to the main story. Peter, you're on the ground. Ground zero. Apple's big announcement today. And
I literally am.
Yeah. And you're in the, what is it, the Bill Graham Theater or whatever it is? What is it?
That is the one, yeah.
It's Bill Graham, not Billy Graham. All right. Just making sure it's not the preacher and it's somebody else. Give us some of your impressions. What have you, we'll talk about some specifics here, but what is your overall impression of the event?
Look, it was an interesting one in terms of just the amount. It's become really hard for Apple because clearly they used to be able to hold all of their cards to their chest until the day they had an announcement. These days the leaks happen so regularly, and someone like Mark Gurman seems to be able to nail exactly what every single announcement's going to be, down to the name of the product. And so it's a little bit of a shame that, some of the spoilers kind of get out before an event, which is a bit of a shame for people who've been watching these things for years. But so I thought that it was interesting that Apple clearly knew that going into this, there were a couple of moments there where, you know, and I think part of it, I should say, part of it. Let's talk about the headphone jack first, shall we? Because I think that was the one that everyone was talking about, and it was clear to me that Apple started leaking these rumors almost a year ago to prepare people, knowing kind of how angry some people would be at losing that port. And it was just so fascinating to see Phil Schiller up on stage, and when it got to that point, you know, the way he described them removing the headphone jack was, it was a courageous thing to do. You know, it was he should have said it was noble. It was an interesting moment. There were a couple of like murmurs throughout the crowd, because it was just nothing but press here as well. So I don't think that it was the most receptive audience to that kind of that spin. But I thought it was fascinating. What did you guys think?
Well, that whole thing with the not to focus on that too much, but the whole thing with the removal of the analog plug has been all over the place for a long time. And to watch Phil Schiller get up and give 3 very distinct reasons why he thinks it's the right move was interesting. In the past, they've been a little bit less ceremonial about such things, and Apple's famous for canning, for crap canning a few major technologies when they seemed like they were at their height. The 3 1/4 inch floppy, or 3 1/2 inch floppy rather, that went away with very little ceremony with the redesigned iMacs, and then you came around to. Not that long ago when they said, yeah, no more optical drives built into these desktops and laptops. And that kind of came as a bit of a surprise. But again, not a lot of fanfare, not a lot of excusing themselves.
Well, I think also the other thing is that this is really just a validation more than anything else of where the industry is going anyway. I mean, there's already a couple of Android phones that don't have analog ports anymore, and I think you'll see more and more of that.
Do you think the complaint, though, Loyd, is that it's not, at least the complaints I've been hearing is, okay, great, Lightning's a good standard, but it's kind of an Apple standard, and wouldn't it be?
I think that is a problem. Also, you know, what would have happened had Steve Jobs stood up there and said that? Everybody would have gone, ooh, you know, there's this sort of lack of reality distortion field anymore, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Yeah, so I don't know how that's going to be received, but the fact that it's happening more and more across the board, he even showed examples of some JBL headphones that use a Lightning connector. These all seem like ways for him to soften the blow a bit, to say, yo, everybody calm down. This isn't us. This isn't just us. This is something that's happening across the board. And they still didn't answer a key problem or a key question I have unless I go the wireless way, which is I do a lot of listening and charging at the same time. People go to work, put their phone next to their computer, plug it into a lightning cable, and then put their earbuds in and listen. If that's not an option anymore for a wired solution, is there a splitter coming? Is that another $39? I like that they threw the dongle in for free. I think that was another concession that they made. That is something Apple never does, is give you an adapter. They want to sell you that adapter. So the fact that they put it in there, I think, was hedging their bets a little bit, Peter. It just seems like they were going out of their way to soften the blow of, yo, we're taking away your analog audio hole.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure whether you'll see that solution. I mean, I think someone like a Belkin might come out with a splitter that is Lightning and the standard headphone jack. I don't know. I don't think Apple will if they didn't mention it here today. But I really do think that for most people who want to charge at their desk, then yeah, probably wireless is going to be the better solution. I liked, actually, I did play with the AirPods just a minute ago in the hands-on room, and they did perform pretty well. I mean, I saw some people kind of giggling on Twitter that $229 is the Australian price. I think it's $159 US. Was a little bit steep for that kind of thing, but Bluetooth headphones, and I did confirm they were using Bluetooth as the wireless spec, but Bluetooth headphones.
Goodness, nobody has been able to say this until you. You are the breaking news as far as I'm concerned. Nobody has said what the tech was. I thought, well, maybe it's some kind of weird AirPlay thing or a strange proprietary thing, but you're saying straight up Bluetooth.
Yeah, apparently it's Bluetooth, and it uses iCloud in the background to kind of get to know what all your devices are, and then to do the automatic handoff between devices. So that's what the nerd in the room told me. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're really, really good. You know, they seem like really good headphones, and the Bluetooth. The thing about Bluetooth headphones is there is a huge drop off. If you go under about $100 a pair, you're going to get a set of headphones that will just be unreliable to connect a lot of the time. At least that's what I found in the testing I've done. I don't know, Loyd, what did you think?
From a distance, I mean, sitting from afar, I think that Apple handled it as well as they could have handled it. I agree with you that the rumors are probably sourced from them as a way of prepping people. And by the time it actually happened, the outcry that would have happened if they just dropped it today wasn't really there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think, as I said, I think there's this air of inevitability about it, too. I think it's going to happen no matter what. And so Apple can be perceived as kind of leading the way once again.
So a few more details about the phone itself. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus feature a new design and color called Jet Black. Also regular black. The black seems to be just sort of a matte finish. Less shine. The Jet Black is super shiny. They really went to extremes, including Johnny Ive talking about how it's shiny and why it's shiny and just how shiny. Have you had hands-on with that phone yet? And is it as shiny as they would have us believe?
It is as shiny, yeah. It kind of actually looks like the old candy-colored, the candy-shaped iPhones of the past. The 3G and the 3GS, that kind of hardback shell.
Yeah.
But of course, it's aluminium, so it's a lot nicer to hold. Oh yeah, I mean, it looks gorgeous. I mean, I think it's a little bit ostentatious for me. I kind of liked the matte black a little bit more, and I did think the white was actually the nicest of the lineup that I saw.
No, that's good to know. Loyd, do you have a preference on what they showed? It seemed like the high gloss aluminum is something they really want to push on you, but did the other stuff strike your fancy?
I personally like that color. As a lot of as long as it's black, it's great, and they haven't really had a good black for a while anyway.
Yeah, that's true. A matte finish on a black sounds really good to me. I guess long gone is space gray. We're done with that. Off it goes. Sticking with rose gold, white, silver, and then these two variations of black. Appear to be the way they're going. The 7 featuring a hardware-based stabilization method for the camera, which the 6 Plus or 6S Plus had, but now the 7 will straight up have it as well. Then how the S one-ups the 7 is that it has 2 cameras that act as in all kinds of creative ways. I was pretty impressed, actually. Yes. The gimmick, I'm going to call it a gimmick, but I was pretty impressed with this gimmick of creating depth of field in a way that looked a little better than I thought it was going to look. I don't know. I was worried it would look like some kind of weird Photoshop filter and kind of janky or whatever, but that was fairly convincing. And he to help his argument, he lied to us and then backpedaled. Noticed that the photo he took was actually with an iPhone 7. So how did that look in person? Because we're looking at streams. We don't know. That stuff that get up on the projection.
Yeah, it looked great, and it is a gimmick for sure, but it's a really good gimmick. I've played with the Huawei P9, which does a similar thing. It's got 2 lenses at the back, and the technique is slightly different, but it's the same kind of theory of using the 2 lenses and working out depth that way and giving you a beautiful kind of depth of field thing, and that has become my wife's phone of choice now because she's taking photos of our baby with it all the time, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The photos she's getting from there is fantastic. So the only thing I'm bummed out about is it's only in the bigger phone, which I've got tiny little hands. I don't know if you can see those on the stream, but so I can't really use one of those bigger phones. So but either way, I'm glad to see the optical image stabilization in the smaller phone because that did make a massive difference in terms of video. With the giant phone last year, so good to see that coming to the smaller one. Yeah,
I agree. Geez, what else? There's they have this. Oh, the Apple logo is actually stainless steel, so there's something. I don't know why it jumped out at me. Home button features Force Touch technology from Apple Watch and MacBook trackpads, something similar to that. Loyd, I was really hoping we'd get like more of a screen-based button this time, and it would have some haptic feedback, work a little bit like Force Touch, but it appears it's still a mechanical button.
That was interesting. I thought they were going to go virtual as well, because a lot of the advances in this sort of haptic feedback and Force Touch has been moving ahead pretty rapidly. But anyway, maybe next time.
Yeah, and the stuff on notebooks has been pretty impressive. Like the MacBook, the straight up MacBook, the really super thin executive model thing. That trackpad, I kind of scoffed at when I heard what they were doing with it, and that it would feel the way they said it felt, and it's actually super cool. Right. So that's some of the technology they're using here. Then I suppose that's exciting. Gosh, what else? New lenses, new sensor, new flash. Supposed to be 50% broader on where the light reaches and also 50% brighter. And way better at taking photos at night. We're focusing a lot on the camera here because one of the things the iPhone tends to excel at during each of its generations and its iterations is photography. So I guess that's good for everybody involved. It always cracks me up, though, when they put up a quote from a famous photographer saying, "I can't believe how great this phone is at taking photos." But it's not like you're going to see that guy show up at his next shoot with nothing but...
Probably not.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but I'm still doing most of my video work on the iPhone right now. That's what's going to appear on the Sydney Morning Herald when I finally finish this and then move on and upload those photos. So look, it's still a good enough camera. What about the watch? Was there anything in the watch announcements that made you think that it could be something you'd be buying?
So I skipped the first one. Thinking that I just didn't see the value in what the proposition of money versus features was. I just was like, well, I have my phone with me all the time. Do I really need to worry about it for fitness? I jog with my phone. I'm always listening to podcasts and books when I jog. Like, do I really need that? Well, not really. Well, does it have GPS? Well, no. Does it do these things? No. Can I swim with it? No. So they've added things this time that are making it a much more attractive device and at a price that is certainly more attractive.
Right. It's time to sell your Garmin stock.
Yeah, exactly. It's got GPS, of course, built in, which is nice. I really was impressed with the one they showed that they said was ceramic and supposedly tougher and less and more resistant to breakage and scratchage as the is that a word, scratchage? It is now. Than the aluminum model. That was interesting to me, and it kind of jumped off the screen and made me go, ooh, maybe I want one now. The working with Nike is interesting, although I think that's more of a brand play than it is any sort of, I'm not really going to gain much in the way of functionality because that same software will be available on all the models. So that was more like, hey, I really like Nike, I really like Apple, I'd really like to have that branding all over my arm, and that's what would drive your decision to buy that one. But for the most part, yeah, they look good. Loyd, did you see anything here that pushed the smartwatch forward?
Somewhat, but what I think is going to be an interesting problem to watch, or an issue for a lot of other companies. I mean, Fitbit and Garmin. I was making a joke about Garmin, but I think they should really be worried because before the Apple Watch was just kind of a toy, and it did neat things, but it really wasn't usable for a lot of the things that I would want to watch for, like fitness, actual tracking my fitness without having to have other devices. And now you can really have one go-to device for all this stuff.
Yeah,
and being app-based means they can be very flexible about it too.
There was rumors they were going to include like a free 3G or even Edge connection, kind of like the Kindles used to do, as part of the watch. That would have been really interesting to have this thing be completely independent,
right?
Needing to have the phone for data or anything else. And I think that would have probably, had that been a feature, and I'm not even sure it was ever going to be, but had that been a feature, I probably would have pushed me completely over the edge. The waterproofness is something that seems like would be a natural. That's going to come sometime at some point. Right. But what I liked is how they showed how they overcame the speaker problem, which is the speaker acts as like the method to eject water from the cavity that is created by the speaker.
Oh, okay.
Super interesting. If you haven't seen that part of the video, I thought that was really fascinating way to sort of deal with that. And maybe other devices already do this. I don't know, but that seemed like a really unique way to deal with it.
Yeah.
The rest of the device is totally sealed. Oh gosh, what else? I think I mentioned the price, $369 for the Series 2. They're going to still sell the Series 1 for $269. You can still get that watch. You can get the operating system, the third operating system for both. You're okay there. No mention of anything in the 10K range, like the it's too bad we didn't get that. What else? Capacity on the iPhone. I don't want to skip over this. They made it even kind of a joke when they first put the price up. They put these 16 gig, 32 gig, and 128 gig or 64 gig, whatever it was, in the middle. And then very quickly Schiller went, wait, those aren't right, and then replaced it all with 32, 64, 32, 128, and 256. I'm glad they did that. That 16 gig needs to stop being a thing for a flagship phone. It's fine for the lower cost 6 models now, but that seems in line with what we had hoped for pricing.
Absolutely, and I actually think it's not that bad when it comes to an Android phone, just because Google Photos does a much better job of working out what is on your phone and what can be pushed to the cloud. So I actually don't run into storage issues anywhere near as much on an Android phone as I do on an iPhone. But yeah, there's something about, because their cloud system is not as robust or as reliable as Google's. I don't want to give my life to them. I don't want to trust them with my precious memories. So I tend to kind of hoard things on the iPhone. So yeah, really good to see the upgrades there.
Who's the earbuds? Somebody, when I was doing a live stream of the coverage, and the earbuds said, or somebody in the chat room said the earbuds remind him of Lobot. Was that his name in Star Wars with the kind of things attached?
Yes, right.
And to me, it just looked like some futuristic Gattaca-looking communication device. But I think of all the stuff they showed, I'm most excited about those, and I don't really know why. I don't even care. Right. I'm going to lose these. One of those is going in the toilet. I know it.
Yeah.
I like what they've done with the processors too. I mean, they've really.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
In an interesting way. I mean, they've gone with the sort of ARM big little approach, and it's very interesting because Apple is one of the few companies that roll their own ARM processors as opposed to just licensing cores from ARM. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they have these big and small in two dual processor clusters is very interesting.
Are you worried? So tell me, what do you know about the way that these work? So the way this works, this is a quad core processor, and they have the big ones, and they've got the small ones. They're calling high efficiency processors.
Yeah, and those are do a lot of the background stuff, like when you're doing normally, like for example, when you're walking around and you're collecting your walking data, right? The little M1, whatever they call it now, is sort of counting steps, and then every now and then it'll push stuff up to the main processors and do something with it. Well, now it can push stuff up to those little processors, use a lot less juice, and keep the battery life longer. That's one of the reasons they're getting more battery life out of this.
Well, that was my big question, though. Since they only are touting an additional 2 hours of battery life on the S and 1 hour battery life. No, two on the 7 and 2 on the 7S, or 3 on the 7S, whatever it was. Or maybe it was 1 and 2. Anyway, that seemed great and all. I'm always happy to get more battery life, but it seemed like you're not actually gaining that much battery life given how much they focused on what these 4 cores were going to do.
Well, the question is, how much thinner and lighter are these phones?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Are they do they increase the battery life without actually making the batteries bigger? If that's the case, then that's pretty impressive.
Did you, Peter, have any word there on the floor about actual phones? Did they go any thinner? They didn't talk about it on stage, which usually means it's about the same.
Yeah, I couldn't. Sorry, you're breaking up a bit, so just feel free to cut me off if I'm too choppy. But they didn't feel any different in the hand.
Mm-hmm. And so are they? So I guess the big rumor was, well, if they're getting rid of the analog output for headphones, that's going to give them all kinds of reasons to be a thinner, sleeker phone. But that didn't seem to happen here. Maybe they just filled it with battery or something else. There you go. Hey, look at this too. Camera now, and I'm sorry, I got to skip down here. I'm all over the place, so I've kind of skipped around. Oh yeah, a couple other things that are interesting from the services side. Apple Pay is coming to Japan in October. They have added Felice. How do you say that one? Felica, whatever it is. Mobile payment technology developed. Am I saying that right?
Felica, yeah.
Felica. Mobile payment technology developed by Sony, and let's see, they're adding that to the iPhone 7 and Apple Watch Series 2. And you can offer that as a payment system while you're in Japan, so that's good for those folks in Japan. Dates, we have the 7 and 7 Plus hitting September 16th. Pre-orders start on the 9th, I believe. That's this week. And the jet black iPhone 7 is here with water-resistant body, better cameras, and so on. By the way, I don't think the water-resistant is... there was some difference between the jet black one and the other ones, and now I don't remember what it was. I meant to write that down. Darn it.
The difference is the jet black is only available in the 128 and 256 models.
Oh, so it's just a capacity thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
The A10 chip, 40% faster. They call it Fusion, and are claiming 50% faster graphics than the previous model. By the way, that front-facing camera for all your selfies and whatnot, 7 megapixels, and that seems pretty good. What is the current one? 5, I believe.
Right.
And what else? I think we've covered everything that they talked about. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Except for Nintendo.
Oh, you mean you want to save the best for last? I'm glad you took my bait. So here's something that happened that nobody thought was going to happen. We all knew Nintendo was dipping their feet in mobile waters. We've heard about it. We had a little bit involvement with them with the Pokemon Company in terms of what they own of it and what happened with Pokemon Go, which probably was a big eye-opener for them. They're also working with companies in Japan to bring mobile experiences here. They've already built some mobile games based on Dungeons or Dragons, and I forgot the name of that game. But anyway, there's a Mario version of it. You get that on the 3DS. That's not quite a foray into mobile. They did make that Miitomo game. I barely call it a game. So, and we know there's something from Animal Crossing coming, but we didn't think that they would get up on stage and go, now join on stage with us, Shigeru Miyamoto from Japan, all the way here to get up and talk about, this guy's a legend in video games. The biggest name you could have had from Nintendo come and get on stage was there to introduce a Mario game. And then they announced it would be an endless runner, and my heart sank about 3 inches in my chest. And a little down,
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible looking endless runner though. I mean, there are some really awful ones out there. It looked okay. I thought it looked okay. I realized straight away I was like, oh, where's Mario Kart? And then realized, well, hang on, just give them a second. You didn't even expect this to happen. Just enjoy what has happened in front of you right now. But it was incredible. It was incredible to see Nintendo and Apple on stage together. I mean, that's some childhood dreams right there.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Loyd, do you find this, a shocking set of events to see?
I think it was pretty amazing, yes. And we'll just have to wait and see if there's more stuff coming. I mean, is this a one-off, or are they actually going to dive into it in a big way?
Well, the talk is that they have plans with DNA and other companies working with them,
right,
to bring lots of mobile experiences. Now, whether those are ports of old stuff or brand new experiences, like this is sort of a brand new experience, I suppose. It looked like Super Mario Brothers, like they've been making in the last few years, just an endless runner take on that same engine, that same graphical and everything. So I hope it's original content. They also have, a business very much tied up in portable hardware. Yeah. So I don't know, just the fact that he's up there, even if nothing comes from this, was weird and kind of monumental, and in one way very exciting, in other ways kind of sad, because you're like, oh no, Nintendo's finally having to...
I didn't hear the E word thrown around. Did they say anything about exclusive, or is there a shot that this is going to be an Android as well?
Just use the F word a lot, which was first. So I think first, Android will absolutely get it. There's no question. And how soon, who knows? But they are getting a timed exclusive for this launch of this game that I fully expect it to be. Nintendo's not going to have any kind of, they're going to be agnostic to platforms, I think. But just saying that Nintendo's making a video game for a platform that isn't theirs hasn't happened since like the Amiga or something, like way back in the day, the Commodore 64, or the Donkey Kong that was on the ColecoVision or something. They don't do this anymore. So it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the industry.
Right.
Just a shift that seeing him up on stage and, having just shook hands with Tim Cook is just a weird happenstance. So we'll see what comes of it. Who knows? Well, there you go. That's our coverage. I feel like we're, obviously this is kind of all over the place. There's still a lot to digest. Obviously, Peter, you still have lots to get hands-on with. What are your plans for the rest of the time there? Are you going to be able to mess with as much stuff as you want?
Yeah, look, I've had a little bit of a play with most of the new gear right now. The ceramic Apple Watch, actually, it is gorgeous. It's the one to get if you feel the need to buy an Apple Watch. I don't know. It's still a hard sell, I think, for a lot of people to decide whether they need one of those. But yeah, it was fantastic. I don't know. I really liked. I thought it was. I'm sure it's an event that Wall Street are probably not going to be all that happy about. I'm sure the stock's going to tank, although Nintendo stock is probably going to do very well out of it. But overall, as just a fan of incremental updates and a really polished device getting even more polished to it, I thought it was actually a pretty good event.
Loyd, any final thoughts on the Apple stuff that happened today?
I agree with that it's mainly an incremental advances. I mean, it's all cosmetic and there's some nice user experience additions like the camera. The thing about Nintendo is Apple's putting a stake in the ground and saying, we are now really invested in gaming, which is something they haven't been sort of tentative about in the past, right? I mean, they've always talked a little bit about games in their announcements, but Steve Jobs is not a big fan of gaming in general. But I think as Apple's moved forward, they've started to embrace it a little more.
Well, they have to. You see the money rolling in on even just Pokemon Go alone. It's impossible to ignore that, and I think that they're finally coming around on it. I agree with pretty much everything you said. It is also yet another conference where, since maybe probably the iPad, we really haven't had one of those conferences where Apple is blowing anybody's mind with a revolutionary product. And I know we expect this from them, and maybe that's wrong that we do that. But every one of these that comes and it's just sort of an iterative update on things we already know, I always leave a little bit disappointed. That being said, I want the new phone. I think I want the watch finally. And I'll play your stupid Mario Endless Runner. I'll do it. I'll give you money for that, Nintendo, because I'm a fan and I like Mario. If you guys have some thoughts on today's coverage, let us know. Send us emails, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. I'm going to read a quick email. This is from Sam in Oregon, who wanted to share his thoughts on an old versus new technology. I think this came from a lot of the conversation we had earlier in the week. I enjoyed the conversation about old versus new. A couple of points. Number one, new for the sake of new is pointless unless you need new functionality or the functionality. A command line system in the hands of a capable operator can be very fast and run on old underpowered systems. Most of the new systems have increased graphical capabilities, but as far as helping you helping your airline be on time, I'm trying to understand what a fancy GUI would do for that. And two, customer service is still the best thing to do for a business. If a new tool helps you serve the customer better, then by all means, it's a good investment. Unfortunately, in the tech world, we are obsessed by the shiny new object, like shiny black or whatever it's called. But if you don't lead to better customer experience, then it's probably not worth the investment. Sam, the small business owner in Oregon. Well, Sam, with your fancy donuts and all your hipster stuff over there, I think I agree with you. We talked about this idea of the mixing of old and new and too complicated of systems and airlines being behind and new companies being more agile because they started fresher and don't have to go redo a bunch of stuff and what it costs to do it. And I think these are two good guidelines. If it's not really bringing anything new to the table, then maybe you don't need it. And if it's not directly helping you interface with your core customer, then what's the point? So, yeah, I think that actually also gives, the technology makers and manufacturers something to shoot for. Hit those two targets and we got a better deal going. Thank you, Sam in Oregon, and we hope your small business continues to do well. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. All right, I want to thank our guest for being here. Peter Wells, writer for the Sydney Morning Herald, all the way from Australia in California, right there in the Bay Area to witness this great event, and then you're right back on a plane back home. What else can you tell us about where you're going to be, where your coverage is going to be?
Yeah, if you want to follow me, just follow me on Twitter. It's Peter Wells. On Twitter, and I should have a couple of stories going up to the Sydney Morning Herald. I've been watching the notifications pop up on my phone as we chatted, so it seems like there's some stories up there already. So yeah, just follow that, and then I will be on a plane for 14 hours because that sounds like fun.
That's a real blast, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Loyd, it's a pleasure to finally meet you and work with you on the show. I hope we get to do this again. Tell people where they can find you.
Yep, you can find me also on Twitter at LoydCase, and as well as my blog at uncertainty.com.
You should make a website called Case Mod, but your name, right? See, that's a good idea. Bet you've never heard that one before. That's
Not ever.
No. Well, it's awesome to have you both. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for listening. Hey, if you're sick of me, good news. Tom will be home this week, and starting next weekend, it is all Tom all the time. I'll be back in my usual co-hosting spot on Wednesdays. But big thanks for letting me sit in here, Tom, and we hope you had a really, really great trip. Thanks everybody who subscribes to the show. Go to dailytechheadlines.com for the headline show. If you just need more news in your life, that's a great place to do it. That is at dailytechheadlines.com. Support the show at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Oh, what else? Don't forget, we're here every Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. That's live. Visit the website, dailytechnewsshow.com, for everything else. Tomorrow's guests are Justin, Robert Young, and Scott Moulton. We'll see you guys then. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
And clear. Well done.
Yay.
That was a great show. Thank you, Peter, for being able to get online in that madhouse.
No worries. I flipped to 3G halfway through because it started to fall apart. So hopefully that meant I started to connect a little bit better?
Yeah, you're sweet.
I could not tell that you were having network congestion issues.
Yeah.
Loyd, you were awesome as always. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me know if you want me again.
We're going to go through the show titles that the audience or the live audience votes on. First one we have is One Less Thing, allusion to Steve Jobs' One More Thing. It's funny, it's sad, but it's really funny. Second one is the new iPhone 7 jacks off Apple faithful.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
When there's total room for a jack, but they leave it off and it dies.
That's a nice long time, probably too long.
4 is Produx. I don't understand the Produx.
Okay, I know what that is. You want to know what that is? We kept track today, by the way. It was 12 instances of this. When Tim Cook says products, it's part of his Alabama upbringing.
Products.
Yeah,
right.
So it's like it's a stupid thing. We're not using that.
There's also
I thought his drawl was a little bit better this time around. He was a little bit faster.
Yeah.
A little bit more comfortable on his feet too.
I noticed that too. I thought that was interesting. He also was up there he had a lot of help today. A lot more people up there.
Yeah.
There's 2 airs in a pod, PlayStation 4 Amateur, Pros and Consoles, The Audacity of Courage. I don't know what that's from.
What about F4 first?
Begun, no headphone jack. Honestly, I like One Less Thing.
I like One Less Thing too. It's a little pejorative, but I like it.
It's a loaded title. It's a loaded title.
I like it though.
Good.
What about F for first? I liked that. That was a
what was it?
line. F
Which one?
for first. The F word for first.
Oh, yeah.
F is for first. That's not bad.
The F word, which is first.
Yeah, F word is first. Where I come from.
No, it was great.
I forgot to mention Sia performed. It's not really tech news though.
Yeah, I'm always that's not the same one. That wasn't the same girl dancing. Wasn't the one from the video, was it?
It is. It's the same girl. Oh no, not out in front on the stage. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. But the videos where that girl's in all her videos, that's the same girl. She's just getting older. But when Sia comes on stage and she's just dressed like a cupcake with a bow on top, I can't do it, man. I really like her music. I think she's awesome. Super talented.
She's Australian, mate.
Yeah, she is.
Have you...
She's awesome, but what
Anyway.
this like Lady Gaga cupcake business? I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
I bet you it's popular on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Loyd,
Yep.
I'll probably try to hit you up for some time again, if you don't mind. Sometime in the fall. The same with you, Peter, but I don't know what your schedule is.
I think I'm on Sunday. I think this is a Sunday.
Oh, okay.
One,
so you... All right. I wasn't sure if you were here the entire week, so I wasn't going to... So I'm going to
jump on a plane on Thursday. Yeah.
Okay. I'll write that as a promo. So you are on doing a show, promo Thursday.
Yeah.
Promo Peter Wells, day 6. Awesome.
Anyway, Australia is waking up, so I've got to run back to the hotel. I'll speak to you guys soon.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you very much.
Good to see you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Cool. Let me kill audio.
And I need to head off anyway. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Loyd. It was
Bye.
great to have you.
You too. We'll see you.
All right.
All right. I'm just doing some auto leveling here.
Let me kill. Thank you, Alpha Geek Radio. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for supporting the show. I'm off-airing you now. Click to return to control panel. And the broadcast, I'm stopping it. You guys have been awesome. Send everyone Tom's love and consideration because I'm going to speak for him while he's not here. Bye.
Someone has to.